I've always found the world of personal development enticing, but also off-putting in some way. Therapy and coaching have this idea that the same approach, the same method can be applied equally to both men and women. And I found this to be a mistake. It's not just a mistake in therapy, but it's a mistake in most other forms of coaching as well. We have this idea that we can create a vision board, fast cars, a big house, holiday homes, or whatever other possessions it may be, and that in some way when we arrive there that all our suffering will just magically disappear. It's like we're always aiming at a future arrival point. For anybody that has tried this, we know that it doesn't work. In fact, it leaves us feeling quite unfulfilled and quite disappointed when we get there. I did this as a bodybuilder. So when I was a young man, I was 19 years old, I won the Southern England bodybuilding title. But up until then, my whole aim had been for this title. I thought once I win, I will no longer be a frightened, terrified man. Everything will fall into place and I will discover confidence, peace and courage that I've never accessed before. But the truth was, when I held that trophy, I felt more frightened and terrified than ever before, and it just hadn't worked. So men need a different approach in what they want from their coaching and personal development. So I found out through decades of coaching guides and through my own experience that it's not going to be enough for guys just to show their feelings or to be able to cry or to be able to turn their backs on masculinity as a method of empowerment for them. What they really want is actually the desire to be able to communicate their feelings, but also forge a resilience and courageousness for which they can navigate through their life. So men have different needs and different responsibilities to women, which means that their method must be slightly different and sometimes completely different. So a woman will be happy to go to a therapist and talk about her feelings and show her emotions, and for her that's a sign that could be a good session. It could be a successful session. For a man, this isn't enough. A man wants empowerment and a sense of power on a much greater level. Why? Because he has spent his entire history as a protector, a hunter and a risk taker. So most men feel much more purposeful, have much more meaning in their life when I tell them their personal development is not just about them. It's about how their children are going to perceive them, how their behaviour and actions are going to impact their children, their other halves, their family. So once they hear this, they realise that actually that's a much more bigger responsibility to take on, in that it's not about them anymore. It's actually about making their immediate small society within their family better for everybody, which will be dictated by how they behave and how they go forward in the world. So once we ask the question, what are you aiming at and what are you doing and how will this affect your family, we start to get to a much more meaningful subject. We are now creating something bigger, but we can go further. So men are the chosen protectors by nature. And a man can ask himself, well, what am I engaging? What am I doing? What is my behaviour like? How is it going to reflect my children? How is it going to reflect my society? What am I doing that disempowers me? And maybe within that disempowerment, and normally so, maybe I'm giving a voice to weak men who care very little for the women and children of society. And you'll find now that these men have got a big voice because men have lost their essence of who they are. Now we've just elevated our personal development goals to not just about us and possessions and things to acquire, but about our entire society around us. We are directly creating a better society by the development of our own character and what we stand for. Strong men need to make strong choices. Strong men can and will create a better world.